What if your homeworld was annexed by the Galactic Empire just as it was coming into power, and your once small and unimportant planet was suddenly part of something bigger, promised a greater role in the galactic political scene? And what if you and your friend, when you were young, ran into the future Grand Moff Tarkin at a celebration, and ever since that day you decided to join the Imperial Army? Hello, I'm Northern Soul Reaper, and today I want to talk about Lost Stars, the Star Wars manga. Lost Stars is a fantastic Star Wars story that looks at what it is to be a cog inside the Imperial Army machine. Rather than just giving us the grand sweeping overview that we usually get in the films to let us know that the Empire is evil, this looks at what it is to be a person in the Imperial Army, and it gives us a look at their lives, these people who joined to be part of something more. We see them struggle with the morality of what they're asked to do, and we see how far some of them are willing to abandon their convictions and values for the greater good. Today I want to take a look at why Lost Stars is absolutely worth your time. Whether you're a die-hard Star Wars fan or just one in passing, there's something for everyone here. Lost Stars Volumes 1 to 3 is published by Yen Press, and it's the manga adaptation of Claudia Gray's novel of the same name. Now, before we start, I have to say that I am an absolutely massive fan of the novel. I've read it several times, and it's my favourite novel within the new post Disney acquisition canon. It's one of the first books that they published as well within the new canon, and I've read it quite a few times now, and it's absolutely one of my favourites. So just as a quick disclaimer before we get into the review, I will have some mild spoilers. To be honest, the covers of the book spoil more than what I'm going to. It just pertains to a certain character and their choices throughout the series. Lost Stars tells the story of Thane and Sienna as they go from being young children on their homeworld of Jellican, just at the time when the Galactic Empire is coming into power, to adults within the Imperial Army and beyond. Now, Thane is the youngest son of a wealthy family, a group of people what are known as second wavers. The second wavers were the second group of people to settle on Jellican, and they are in control of all the industry and trade on the planet. Sienna is a first waver, which is, you guessed it, the first group of people that settled on Jellican, and they are pretty much regarded as inferior to the second wavers. The second wavers kind of look at them as dirt on their shoe. They live a more humble and simple life than the second wavers as well. Thane and Sienna become friends when they meet in a docking hangar where some spaceships are. Sienna is being bullied by some second wavers for being a filthy first waver, and Thane decides to step in and help her fight them off. After a quick scuffle, Grand Moff Tarkin, or future Grand Moff Tarkin, he's a governor, he decides to kind of break up the fight and sees that Thane and Sienna didn't run away, and he decides to give them a tour of the shuttle. And from that day they decide that they want to join the Imperial Army. Thane is determined to become a pilot, and Sienna wants to be an officer. Thane and Sienna's story takes place during the timeline of the original trilogy. The main events of all three films happen in the background, but the book and the manga never tries to shoehorn in the main characters from the Star Wars films, and it never really tries to overstate the importance of the characters within the manga. They are at best background characters in the overarching story, but their story is very much important to them at the time, and I'm glad that it didn't just try to shove in Han Solo or Princess Leia. They do appear, but they're just more in the background, and I really like that. I like that it allowed these characters to be the focus of the story, because that is where the heart is, Thane and Sienna. So throughout the story, Thane and Sienna's relationship is definitely at the core of this series. Now, Thane eventually becomes a member of the Rebel Alliance, and Sienna is determined to rise through the ranks and become a high-ranking official officer within the Empire. And it's about these two people who are seemingly pulled apart, but fate kind of pulls them back together. That is throughout this story. The connection that Thane and Sienna make as children, and then that eventually carries on into adulthood, is kind of the thread that goes through the story in this, and watching their friendship bloom into a romance is an absolute joy to watch. I won't go into any more spoilers because I feel like the twists and turns and the ending of this is absolutely something that you should definitely experience for yourself, and I don't want to give away too many details about any supporting characters or what happens, so I'll just let you read it and experience for yourself. Now, while this is a Star Wars story, it's very easy to forget at times. This is a very character-driven, character-focused, personal story, and it just happens to be set in a galaxy far, far away. I love that it gives us a glimpse into the inner workings of the Empire and the Rebellion. It's easy to forget when you're watching the films, but there were thousands of people on the Death Star when it was blown up, and they all lost their lives. They were sons and daughters of people who just wanted to join to be part of something bigger. They didn't necessarily know that the Empire was evil. They joined because their planets were saved by the Empire, misled by Palpatine, and they wanted to give back. And they all had hopes and dreams, and they were all snuffed out. Or, there was countless pilots who gave their lives so that Luke could fire that critical shot into the exhaust port of the Death Star. The manga turns the attention squarely on the little guy, and I love that it gives us a glimpse inside of these overarching forces. It definitely gives you more of a focus on the Empire, but I think it's absolutely to its credit, because it shows you that not everyone in the Empire is just the evil bad guy. It's like I say, there are people in there that are just doing their job, but by the time that these people realised that the Empire was rotten to the core, it was too late for them. It kind of shows you their faces when the Death Star is revealed, and when it destroys Alderaan, the absolute shock and horror is felt throughout all the members of the Imperial Army, and some of them waver. Yes, you get people who are dedicated to the core and they are evil Empire members, but a lot of them were just people who joined and got caught up in something a lot bigger and ended up being on the side of the bad guys. And it just happens. Palpatine totally misled everyone in the galaxy, and that's how he came to power. Otherwise, you like to think, or you like to hope, that if people knew Palpatine was evil from the start, they would have never joined the Empire. Lost Star's story has been adapted to a manga by Yusaku Komiyama, and she's also responsible for the art. The manga leaves out some plot points of the books that I wish were kept in, but overall this is a really faithful and well done adaptation of the novel. Now, the art in this series is absolutely fantastic. You instantly recognise that you're in a Star Wars story. The ships, the characters and the settings are all there, and you recognise who they are and what they are, but it has its own style as well that I absolutely adore. Seeing Princess Leia, Han Solo or Chewbacca drawn in this style, in like a manga style, is it's really cute and adorable. Like, they're really well drawn, but you know who they are as well. Now, because this is a character-focused story, the quieter character moments are where the book shines. The expressions of the characters are drawn beautifully. When a character's facing a difficult decision, their inner turmoil is laid bare on the page, or when they're happy, the smile beams up at you. It's really well drawn. The expressions on the characters are fantastic. Now, the series doesn't shy away from action. There's definitely some heated dogfights and space battles and action sequences, and it doesn't pull any punches. Just as much so when you're involved in a more emotional scene. And there's definitely some moments in the series when you're reading it, and my heart was in my throat when I was reading it, like wanting to know what happened in the next panel when something happened in a dogfight or a battle. So that's pretty much it for this review. I absolutely breezed through these 3 volumes. When I finished them, it took me about 2 days to finish, and then when I finished them, I actually went back and immediately read them again. It was that good. I wanted to stay in that world. You don't want to leave the characters, you don't want the story to end. It's really easy to pick up. It's only 3 volumes, but it's absolutely impossible to put down. It's a really emotional story that's got a fantastic love story at its core, and I absolutely loved it. So I'll just end with this. If you are a Star Wars fan and you want a bit more of a granular character-focused story that gives you a little bit of a look at the little guy in the Empire and the Rebellion, read this series. If you're not really a Star Wars fan, or you just want in passing, but you like a really good love story with really well fleshed out characters, with lots of emotion and great action sequences, fantastic panels, really competent writing and artwork, read this series. Thank you for watching and thank you for sticking around until the end. If you like this video, please give it a like and please consider subscribing to the channel and ringing the bell. It's the best way to get my videos as and when they come out. If you want more videos like this, or I've got haul videos or collection videos, check them out as well. I'll leave some cards up on the screen. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.